Hey, welcome to clip number 7 of David and Goliath. Been doing this series. Hopefully you've been following along, but just in case it's your first one that you're seeing, it's this iconic biblical story of David and Goliath that walked into a scenario where the Goliaths were ruling the land and everybody was afraid. Everybody. David walked in with a different mindset and he defeated Goliath. And that's where the story and the analogy has been told for centuries since, the story of David and Goliath, the little guy beating the big guy. And I think you're like me. I think you cheer for the underdog. I know that I certainly do. And one of the keys in the last clip is David remembered the victories, but he also had many losses. And I want you to think about that for a moment. I'm sure there were times the bear and the lion had lamb chops for lunch on his dime, and he didn't get the stones where it needed to be. So when he suffered defeats, what did he do? He practiced. He was really good with that slingshot. He practiced. Now, when he beat Goliath and that stone sunk into Goliath's head, a man about 9 feet 9 inches tall, yeah, he was accurate, and sure, God had something to do with that, obviously, but David had practiced when he had been defeated. The amazing thing is, this little boy, teenager, the 8th son of Jesse had 7 other sons, and along came David, was really insignificant. Even when he arrived at the camp and his 3 older brothers saw him, they ridiculed him. They were mad at him. They made fun of him, even though he's bringing them food. See, David was this little shepherd boy taking care of sheep while his brothers were in the army and warriors and all that. He was just an insignificant man, young man. And you know what? He was doing DoorDash. He would take food and stuff from his dad, Jesse, and bring it to the men, his brothers, the warriors. It was like a 2-day trip. He was doing DoorDash in Israel. He did this not just this one time, and he'd walk into this camp filled with fear, with the Goliath ruling the land, with everybody afraid. But he saw an opportunity. He seized an opportunity, and he was ready for an opportunity because he had been practicing. He had been practicing that slingshot. I'm appealing to you right now. 2024 is going to be tumultuous. And unless we start practicing speaking the truth in love whenever we can and however we can to whoever we can, we're not going to be ready when that big moment comes. I don't know what that big moment will be for you. Depends on where you're living, your circumstances. It might be the opportunity to stand up against an evil Goliath that, say, wants to mutilate the gender of little children. Whatever it is, there's so many evil Goliaths in the land destroying our country. And I'm not talking just about Christianity. I'm talking about the traditional values that we grew up with. Marriage is made for a man and a woman. The child is alive in a mother's womb. It goes on and on and on. The evil Goliaths that are attacking what we believed as a God-fearing country for many, many years is being torn down so quickly. And we need to start speaking the truth in love the best we can. We need to practice now, because when your moment comes, if you don't, you won't be ready for, well, something would happen, then, I know I'd just rise up and I'd stand strong. No, you won't unless you're practicing now. David would not have killed Goliath if he hadn't been prepared in using that slingshot for many years protecting the sheep. We need to practice carefully in our words. Well, you know what? That just doesn't make sense to me. I don't believe abortion is right. It has nothing to do with politics. They prove now that a child, is actually conscious in the mother's womb, actually feels pain, actually has blood flow, fingerprints at like 8 weeks. I mean, we just need to speak the truth in love. Whatever the issue is, whatever your passion issue is, hopefully it's more than one, but whatever it is, we need to take that opportunity when we're hearing conversations. That's what David was doing. He was kind of hearing conversations, and he injected himself into those conversations, even though he was at that point in time, insignificant young man. You might feel like a very insignificant individual right now. You might be running DoorDash, nothing wrong with that. You might be running Uber, nothing wrong with that, but your life is just kind of moving along like David's was, delivering food to what seemingly to be more important people. But your moment will come. Will you be ready for it when that moment comes. I want to stand with the Davids. I want to stand with the spirit of David. I want to speak the truth in love, and maybe one day I'll be able to take down a Goliath. Right now I'm teaming up with the David that has an opportunity to make a real dent in the Goliath of consumer goods, that we're actually paying our money to these multi-godzillionaires using their money, now using our money to destroy this country. We can do something about that. We can vote. We can vote with where we spend our money and where we invest in. We can continue to give it to the Goliaths of the land, or we can choose a David. That's what I'm doing. There's many, many things we can do. That's why I'm doing this series. But more than anything else, will you be ready? Will you speak the truth in love? And if you miss an opportunity, it's not a time for condemnation. Maybe you're just, in a room and some people are talking about, how horrible it is that people don't think that a 6-year-old boy could choose to be a girl. And you just take that opportunity. Say, well, for thousands of years, and for most of the years of this country, well over 200, no one believed that. Don't you think that's strange? We can speak the truth in love without being confronted, just to help people wake up and think. There's many good people that are under the delusional spirits in this country. They're just thinking the way the powers to be want them to think. Will you do that, or will you be a David? I'm going to try to be a David. I'm going to align myself with David. I'm hoping you'll learn with me to speak the truth in love in the days ahead, because that little shepherd boy David sure made a mark and sure made history change because he was ready. Let's be ready. Let's speak the truth in love. Thanks for your time.